You're listening to Life Repurposed with Michelle Rayburn, where you'll find uplifting and practical advice for everyday living, creative inspiration for do-it-yourself projects, and recommendations for books and resources that will encourage you to embrace your life repurposed. I'm your host, Michelle Rayburn. Welcome to episode 2 of Life Repurposed with Michelle Rayburn. I hope you read last time's episode, read the blog, or listened online, watched the video. This is number 2, and one of the things I want you to know is that you are getting in on the ground level of something brand new. I am brand new to podcasting, brand new to video. I've been blogging for a long time and been online on social media, and I speak to a lot of groups, but this is something new. I wanted to connect with a new audience, and so I thank you for going through the bumps with me, being part of the very first things, and being forgiving when it comes to a few of the glitches. I love to be real, and so yes, today I have on makeup, but you will see on my social media that sometimes I put up not so flattering, or maybe just fine flattering videos where I share with you. But I want you to know that in the middle of everyday life, if you're vacuuming the floor and you're listening to a podcast in your headphones, or you're driving in the car, or maybe you have Apple TV and you just put the video up on there from YouTube and you're watching it as you're playing with the kids, maybe you're on your way home from work, wherever you are, I want you to know that I care about your life. And so this issue is about simplifying, tossing out, refurbishing, and moving forward. So in episode 1, I gave you an introduction to Life Repurposed and a little bit of the why behind what I do. And I explained to you that on every issue of the blog and on every video, there are going to be 3 things. There's going to be something from everyday life, something practical, something fun, something that you can use in your everyday life, something that's creative that has to do with repurposing, and number 3, some sort of resource that you can use in everyday life. It could be a video, it could be a book, whatever it is. I read a lot of books, so it's probably mostly going to be books. So as we get started with this episode, I'd like to talk about the inspired life, purging the excess. I want you to think about what you have too much of. If you were to open up your kitchen cupboards, what do you have too much of? What pours out on your head when you open your closets? What do you have more than enough of in a day? Whether it's in your time. Maybe you have more than enough phone calls coming your way, more than enough emails. Maybe your kids have too many toys. Maybe there's too much furniture and you can't even walk around your house. Maybe you have too many clothes and there's nothing to wear when you look in your closet. What do you have too much of? Too many appointments? Too much stress? Are you double booked on most days? Too much food on your plate? Too much going on? I don't know. I've had to take a look at this in my life. It's something that it's an ongoing work in progress is all I can say. I've cleaned out some of the closets. We have way too much stuff. I've decided to keep only the clothes I love and nothing that doesn't fit me unless it's 1 or 2 incentive items that I'm trying to get into. I've cleaned out kitchen cupboards. I've given things away. I've hauled things to the Goodwill. It feels good to get rid of stuff. It feels good to get rid of things that are too much. And one of the other things that I've had to get rid of is too much in my schedule. I've had to say no to some things. It's not fun. Not everybody loves you when you say no to something, even great opportunities. I don't attend every wedding I'm invited to. I don't go to every shower. I don't go to every party. I know that sounds terrible, but I can't. I am an introvert, and I know that I become the world's most crazy, angry, crabby. You ask my husband. He will tell you what I become when I have too much people time. I love speaking to groups, and I love being with people, but I need some downtime. And so for me, too much can also include too many people. And so I have to say no to something. I want you to think about what you might have too much of and where you can create some margin in your life. A place where you can just relax, a place that you can get joy and find peace by getting rid of something that's excess. Now, if you do this and you would love to have some encouragement along the way, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a direct message, send me an email at michellerayburn.com. It's just Michelle at michellerayburn.com. I would love to give you a digital high five if you make some changes in your life and it results in you having less of something. one of the things that became part of my purging and getting rid of excess things was also a before and after project. And so for our Life Repurposed project today, I'd like to talk about the China hutch makeover that I did. When we bought our house in 2006, 2005, our house, part of it's 100 years old, part of it's like 60 some years old. It's kind of varying. Part of it's an old church, and we have a parsonage ranch house attached to an old church. So it's kind of an unusual house. It also came with some 1970s, 1960s things that I didn't love so much. One of those was actually paneling on a lot of the walls and also the ceilings, which is an interesting thing. And so there's so much wood. And I also had this built-in China hutch that was lovely, but looked very 1970s with the style of yellow oak and the clear glass that was on the front. It's a wonderful place to stash things too, where you can also get too much. So recently I decided it was time for what is actually probably makeover number 3 on this China hutch since I've lived in the house for the last 13 years. And I decided it was time to get rid of some things. Because if they've been inside of this built-in storage cabinet for years and I've not used them, I've not had enough parties to use all the cloth napkins. I've not had enough get-togethers to use all of the trays. I have way too many wine glasses, way too many plates. I decided it was time to purge and clean at the same time that I was going to give it a makeover. So when you go to the blog, you'll be able to see the before and after pictures of where this China hutch was when I bought the house with the 1970s knobs on it and the fake wood Formica countertop. And along the way, I've given it several upgrades. One was painting over that Formica countertop, and it's actually held up because it's not one of my primary kitchen cupboards where I cut vegetables or anything. And the other has been giving it new knobs, giving it some various shades of stain, and then finally recently I decided it was time to give it a before and after makeover where I used chalk paint. Now in the next episode, I'm going to give you a recipe for that chalk paint because I make my own. I know you can buy all kinds of beautiful chalk paint out there. You can have it tinted in any color. But one of the things I have too much of in my basement is quarter gallons of paint, which is a quart. I have just too many of those left over, and by the time I get around to using them, I'm already on to another color. And so I have some neutrals and things, and by mixing in some calcium carbonate, I can actually make it into chalk paint really easy. And I will talk next time about why chalk paint versus some of the other kinds of paint that are out there. I've done my kitchen cupboards in chalk paint, and now I did this cabinet to match. So if you're somebody who's looking for an easy way of making some cabinet or furniture piece that you're not sure you love anymore into something new, this will be for you. So you'll be able to see the final round on what I did with the built-in China hutch and maybe a little bit of a fixer-upper flair in there. I'm a big fan of the show. So I want you to check it out. See how I used baskets and a couple of other things to just give it a fresh makeover. So I hope you enjoy that for your before and after project for this time. I would also love to see your before and after projects. So if you take something and you transform it, please send me a DM or send me an email because I will feature that on my Trash to Treasure Facebook page and show your before and after project. For this week's recommended reading, I'd like to tell you about a book by Mary Potter Kenyon, and it's called Expressive Writing for Healing, Journal Your Way from Grief to Hope. I met Mary Potter Kenyon some years ago at a writer's conference, and she came to that writer's conference a very short while after losing her husband unexpectedly. He was somebody who really believed in her vision for being a writer, for her dream of publishing more books. She had some in the works and lots more on the way, and he really encouraged her to do that. And then all of a sudden he passed away, and suddenly life was different, and she was having to navigate with her children who were still living at home and caring for them and having grandchildren from some of her other children, while she was also navigating how to pay the bills and get through her real life. So out of that came several things that she's written, and one of them is the journal that is called Expressive Writing for Healing. And in this, Mary tells her story, and it's wonderful how she tells that in the first person. So she allows you to feel as if you're sitting across from her having coffee, and she's just telling you about the process that she went through in walking through this grief. She talks about how it's different for everybody who goes through this. And then she has these spaces at the end of every chapter with lines for journaling. Mary discovered that journaling was a big part of healing for her, so she wants other people to be able to experience that kind of healing. So she gives you a little bit about her life, talks about the healing steps that she went through, then gives you a space to write and journal and get it all out, and then move on to the next chapter. And so I encourage you to go to michellerayburn.com/2 to see the blog post for this episode, and you'll be able to get a link to Mary Potter Kenyon's book, and you'll be able to check that out on Amazon. She also has a couple other books. One is called Coupon Crazy, so if you're a thrifty person, you're going to love that. She has one called Chemotherapist, How Cancer Cured a Marriage, Refined by Fire, A Journey of Grief and Grace, and Mary and Me, A Lasting Link Through Ink. So I want you to go and check those out and see some of the things that Mary has, and then check out her website too. Mary shared her book with me. Again, it was, like I said last time, I was not required to write a favorable review. I really enjoyed Mary's book, and I think it's a helpful resource for so many people. So I encourage you to either buy it for yourself or give it away as a gift to somebody that you think would benefit from that. So that has been Life Repurposed. Simplify, toss out, refurbish, and move forward. I hope you're moving forward from something this week. If you are, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message. I will reply personally to the messages that I receive from you. Check out Life Repurposed on Instagram. Check me out on social media. Find the podcast and share it with your friends. Leave a review. Check out YouTube. Okay, you get it. Go to all the places. Go to all the places and say hello, because I love being on different platforms, and I want to find you wherever you are and have a conversation with you. So have a great week, and I will talk to you next time. You've been listening to Life Repurposed with Michelle Rayburn. Check out tips, resources, and inspiration at michellerayburn.com.